Well,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's saying that he was an amazing musician, and we did get the video working. It was working fine, and then as soon as we went live, it wouldn't play. But thanks for getting that ready. But other musician friends of his are now on the news. There's other video of him at events. But again, everybody is going with the line, oh, he did this on purpose. We've seen so many false flags. If a government's done false flags over and over again and been caught doing it, we have to investigate this as a possible false flag. It is being blamed on the Tea Parties and Alex Jones.
Right. Well, I've been looking at stuff on this all morning. There's some video out there. The same girl who talks about the hazmat vehicles and the fire trucks being right nearby. She also says she was close enough. She didn't see a pilot, and she was close enough to where she could have seen a pilot. And she says it on one of these CNN clip that I sent to Matt.
And they had technology 50 years ago to remote control a plane. They could have burned his house down, killed him, stuck him in the plane, or buried him somewhere. Some people are saying maybe he staged his death. You know, Northwood says they have CIA agents get on board an aircraft with the same tail numbers and the same make, take it off, land it, take another one off that looks similar and blow it up, a drone. I mean, we have a government plan to do this with airplanes. So we have to look at this.
I mean, I think it's very important to ask the questions and look and definitely find out, what, how the IRS is investigating this guy, and at least, look into that. I got a couple tips today. One guy said that apparently one of his neighbors right adjacent to him is an IRS employee who actually worked in that building. That's not confirmed, but we got sent that this morning.
Now, you went out to his house.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, anything else about Joe Stack, though? I mean, what would you talk to him about?
I mean, we always talked music, and I didn't get too personal with him other than, general stuff, but he was always there, always on time, and always happy. I always saw him, he was serious when he's playing because you're really concentrating, but afterwards he was smiling. He didn't really drink or smoke or do anything like that. He was just he just seemed to be a pretty clean-cut guy who was
People say it was really smart, very precise, totally squared away.
Yeah.
He looks very focused. I mean, he looks intelligent.
Yeah, he was very intelligent. We actually played a few of his own compositions that he wrote, and they were, they weren't easy. They were pretty difficult. They were kind of jazz rock type stuff, which seemed to be the vein of music he really liked playing, was sort of a jazz rock. He liked the upbeat stuff, but with, more interesting chords than what you would find in a blues.
What were his favorite bands?
Well, I know he was a big Steely Dan fan, because we actually played a few Steely Dan songs, and that's one band that I can bring off the top of my head. I can't remember any other bands offhand, but he was all he'd bring in these huge. He wasn't a tall guy. He was kind of short compared to me, but he was carrying in these huge pianos all the time for practice. And he'd walk in with them and drop them down and get his stuff set up. Talking the whole time while he was doing it, and just, I never saw him get angry, at anybody. If we had disagreements with something, in terms of like a song, we just sit and talk about it.
And you never heard him talk bad about the government?
I never heard him get political. The band they were older guys with kids, and they were more just, trying to put bread on the table.
How long ago did you know him?
I think I met him in the mid 2000s, and I haven't seen him in about at least a year, maybe 2 years. But, I've talked to people who had seen him, a couple weeks ago and said he was fine. They were working on recording sessions together. So it's really sad that in that short amount of time, a guy could get pushed like that, to the brink, if that's, what happened. And, I don't know if we'll probably never know what the IRS knows, because they're probably not going to divulge their.
And you shot this video we were just watching.
Yeah, that was shot in 2007. So that was about 3 years ago.
What bar was that?
I think it was called the Moon River Bar. It's outside of Austin, near Lake Travis. So, the green lights on, and we were setting up lights. They had no lights there. So me and my brother were shooting the video, and we set up a bunch of lights. So, they would look, like.
Did you play in one band with him or multiple?
It was just one band that I would, sub on bass for, and he was the main keyboard player there. But he also played bass. He was a real good bass player, and he played bass in several bands. I know that. And I never knew he played accordion, but apparently he was an accordion player too, which doesn't surprise me. The guy was, multi-talented. He was a real smart guy.
And he was also reportedly a really good pilot and flew a lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
he flew bands around.
He had that plane for many years. I think before he moved to Austin, and the guy that was the band leader of the band I was in, he said, I've flown in that plane, down to San Antonio. So, nice guy. I can't believe I'm really in shock, and I was really in shock yesterday when I pulled it up because I knew a Joe Stack, but everybody was saying Andrew Joe Stack, so you're thinking Andrew Stack the whole time. And I'm asking people out in his neighborhood, did you know this guy? Did you know this guy? Well, it turns out I knew the guy. And
it turned out though the neighbors were like, we would have talked to you, but we've made a commitment not to talk now.
Right. There was one neighbor that did not want. He said he was morally and ethically obligated not to talk to us. And here's something else that's interesting. Another guy who works. I work for the IRS in Austin. He said they had a guy from D.C. come in and was talking about. They kept calling it an accident, and several of the employees corrected him, because they were disturbed at him calling it an accident. And afterwards, he made a comment that there were no warning and how these fringe groups couldn't be predicted. And then he said the day before at 9:30 a.m. he heard some top-level local management in the building discussing possible shelter in place. That's all he mentions. This is definitely a guy we ought to talk to.
Wait a minute. In that same building, they're talking about sheltering in place the day before.
Yeah, no, he doesn't say it was the exact same building, so I'm going to confirm this.
Call him.
This is something we need to confirm.
And then the source needs to know.
Right.
We're not going to say who they are.
No.
Again, we have a comment line that people can call us at 512-646-4444. It's only a 1-minute message. Leave your name and number, a brief, only serious calls. And we'll have more for you on Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m. And then obviously back on Monday. But we're going to come back with more straight ahead. Final segment.